a fight, and they traditionally aren't. Today they're not afraid either, but it seems like they're approaching them a little more planned, a little more scouting, making some really strong choices in how they're starting those engagements.
I like how it looks so far. All right, let's take a look. It is, of course, Sonics here with a win on the board. That's going to fuel them. Now, what's really cool about this is that relative to PGS1, we had Sonic starting out in the groups. Then 17 came along into the same group on day 2. This time around, you've got 17 have already set their pace, Sonics gets to set their pace, and then we get to day 3, where a potential conflict may brew, but we'll see if that occurs.
It will. I mean, because to be honest, 17 got 43 points yesterday, and that's a pretty good start to the weekend. So Sonics, this win's going to put them on the same track, and then they have to make a tough decision tomorrow if they decide to conflict, because I think they're probably going to both walk away in that 40 to 50 range.
All right, well, I'm getting word that we are almost ready here for the game, of course. Any expectations for Erangel?
I expect it to be fun. I'm hoping we finally see the mortars go off. We saw the setup from Sonics, but it didn't come to be. Maybe this time.
Let's do it. It's time to head over to the grassy pastures with Toby and Godspeed.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We are now going to more of a vanilla flavor, if you will. The map that started it all back to Erangel, and maybe a reprieve for some of these teams, but so far, these 3 games have been absolutely amazing, and I'm really looking forward to as well a team like Sonics, obviously from my region, to see how they're going to perform here as we look at a pretty eastern plane here, Toby.
Very eastern. The planes have been, I don't want to say brutal today, because it's not like there are areas that are unreachable with this, but definitely when you have a lobby where some of these teams have literally never played against each other in a non-scrim game, it sure doesn't make things any easier when they're already out drop, like hot drop speculations and things going on, that half the areas of the map are somewhat unreachable, at least with parachutes.
I will say, actually, most planes this entire event have actually been somewhat fair. They haven't been too crazy. Most of the area, as far as where these teams want to drop, has been somewhat accessible, but looking at this
piloting the plane. Oh, there we go.
He
sat there.
Maybe he was just scratching his nose or something, but we do see a few of these drops. Now, these aren't necessarily hot drops. These are teams that are actually contesting for vehicles here, as Zhao Yang and from Tai Lu is actually, oh, wait a second. This is going to be a very precarious little situation here. He's going to back off to the 2-story.
He's trying to run off. You know, the other player had the first run on the gun inside now. Zhao Yang with gun in hand. He's on my fantasy team. Don't give him -3. See if he can survive this one. Level 2 vest against an Uzi. So as long as... they're both on my fantasy team. I'm not... Get the hell out of there. I don't need any of you to give him -3. Get away. What are you doing here?
I wouldn't hate if Inonix took out.
You know what? Soul is coming with a vehicle. They know there's only one guy there, but he's dangerous. And I was like, pick me up, bro. Pick me up. And there he is. Get out of there.
And looking at this circle, this is definitely one of those rough ones, especially if it does start to center on Yas Lake, as we know how difficult it is sometimes to rotate from one side to the other, as we already have a lot of teams already centered up on this.
Now, there is a fun statistic that caught my eye as I looked through the leaderboard of today's matches, and this is a statistic that I don't think I've ever thought of before, but considering the fact that for 8 of these teams, this is the first day of this event, everybody, 3 games in, everybody, with the exception of Daytrade and DD Team, because they've been doing the hot drops and whatnot, everybody except for those 2 have had a top 6 or better placement. Every team except for them 2. I was looking for, and again, while it might not be the biggest thing, it's still, we always talk about, you can probably relate to it as a former pro player yourself, on your first day on the stage, getting those plates, like getting extra minutes in, getting time on the server, getting comfortable with the environment. Now, let's hear that Zhao Yang interview we didn't get to hear earlier.
变化还是有的，就是每个人都愿意配合得更默契了一点。其实最大的变化还是我们打得更有侵略性了一点吧，以前打得太过于保守了。先进决赛吧。
Our goal is getting into grand finals. We're at the trajectory they're at here.
So far,
seems pretty.
So far, so good.
Seems pretty within reach. More defensive, now more aggressive. I think that's the individual step-ups of the likes of Zhao Yang that allows them. Like when you only have one fragger, you can't base your entire team off of being aggressive. You'll have Shen to help defense, but outside of that, you can only punch so hard. Now, with more firepower in there, more prioritization of going aggressive, they're all shining.
Yeah, and also the ability to know when to go aggressive and when to pull back, right? And that's something that I feel like Tai Lu has done an amazing job. And even back to that last point you were talking about, it is a confidence builder, and it also just shows how strong this lobby really is, where all the teams are able to punch into that top 6, find the kills as well as find good placement.
Exactly. Let's listen into Danawa as well and see what they have to say, as I believe we'll hear in with Seoul.
대회를 위해 뭘 특별히 준비한다기보다 이제 저희가 잘하는 걸 그만큼 보여줄 수 있게끔 연습을 하고 있기 때문에 딱히 특별히 준비한 건 없습니다. 지난 PGS 때 MVP를 해서 아마 트라이얼 1등이 된 것 같은데 이 기세를 이어서 PGS2에서도 MVP를 할 수 있도록 최선을 다해서 할 테니까 많이 응원해 주세요.
Seoul, such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's one of few Korean players that I've spoken to. I mean, I don't speak Korean, but he has a pretty decent English. And he's just sitting down and having a chat with him. He is the most humble man on earth, and it's always a joy to talk to.
I was about to say, oh, what happened?
Taman just kind of catch a break today.
Here.
First he gets shut out of the air on the entry on takeover. It's like, EJ, come on, man.
But bouncing off that, Seoul, yeah, kind of talking to him and looking at the way that he interacts with other players, you wouldn't know that he's an absolute killer in the servers because he's actually really kind of a jokester, right? He likes to have fun. He likes to laugh. He is. Yeah. He's a big nerd, but he is absolutely devastating when he gets in the server, and easily one of the best players in the world right now is. Yep. Yeah, I like the fact that he also said, look, we're not necessarily specifically preparing for something. We're just making sure that we play our game. And I can't tell you enough how important that is as a former player, as you were saying, to just get in the right mindset and to not necessarily worry about everyone else, but worry about what you guys want to do and keeping your fundamentals, whether it's your scouting, your rotations, and all the macro as well.
Also, kudos to Daytrade for a record-setting performance of 5 minutes into the game not having fired a bullet yet. It's
for them, that is a record, yeah.
There has been some pretty hectic early games that they've been putting up for themselves, as we've seen here today. And Daytrade again, I mean, coming into this tournament, I ranked them second highest of all APAC teams. The thing is, when you hot drop, as we've seen, of course, oftentimes that's going to go against you, but Daytrade really can pack the same punch as both Expendables and Cerberus can. We've seen it previously, while Cerberus was still kind of climbing that ladder, Daytrade were really one of the first teams to become, okay, we have to respect APAC.
Yes.
Daytrade made, I don't want to say they made APAC known, but at least they made the rest of the world respect APAC. And it's just been phenomenal to watch how other teams since then have come up, and to some extent also Cerberus in particular surpassed what Daytrade has been able to pull off.
And I agree, Daytrade, we're really kind of that first team from APAC. I was like, okay, as you said, yeah, wait a second. We'll get to that point in a second here as Danawan now on the Yas bridge here in Gas Station, taking shots over at Friendly Fire. It is just Paige and Pixel as a duo, and they are full on crashing this here with Iononics just at the front of this gas station. Paige has to heal, but wait a second, Pixel, if he can do something, maybe a knock.
Roth is helping from afar as well. They are getting assistance. Pixel finds one more, so all of a sudden what was just going to be a pretty clean sweep 2-player wipe, they have now found 2 casualties. Sharpshot has arrived. Roth is coming in as well. Loki is up close, might get one, and yes indeed. He does take him down, so this is going to be much more collateral damage than neither of these two teams thought was going to happen. Soul trying to make the run on it, only him and Loki alive. They want to get all this done with fast so they can get at least back up to 3 up.
And this is the problem though, when you fight Friendly Fire, this team is very scrappy, and they've actually been doing well as far as their team fights, even though the results haven't been the best. How does that not kill Pace and Sharp? They will survive. It's just up to Pixel now as he flashes out the window, trying to delay this push from Soul.
Rest comes through. Page instantly prones down, starts healing on up. Pixel found with a nail. That's huge because he would have found him in return. Soul finds the second, finds the third as well, and there he is, the current MVP. Soul, a hell of a player, a little fortunate in that Pixel gets taken down by that nade right before he gets in, because you'd have to imagine that Pixel's angle would have been superior to Soul's, but comes in, 3-way sweep, takes them out, Friendly Fire down in 16th.
That also speaks to the timing and teamwork there between the two members there up Danawa, going in immediately after knowing the knock was there, finding those angles so quickly. We were just talking about how Soul was an absolute killer, and he shows it beautifully for us.
No angle left unchecked as he just sweeps through the gas station. In all fairness, okay, sure, they didn't have a whole lot of HP to work with, but still not taking anything for granted and clearing everything on approach. Petrichor, wide wrap to the southeastern side, not going to be in a hurry whatsoever. They know they're late to it. They looted up military. Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
They'll take their time. You know what? We might as well just loot and get as fat as we can, and then we'll rotate in. Yeah, but I feel for Friendly Fire, Toby. I really do, because the way you said that.
It's just, I get what you're saying. It's always kind of feels Batman when you get torn down like this. But again, not every game is going to have you catch 9 and everything is going to play perfectly in your favor. You will have these crap games, which this just was, for Friendly Fire. The difference, and especially in long tournaments, and this, if you make grand finals, we're looking at like most teams that go lower bracket into grand finals will play over 50 games in this tournament. That's not true, but a lot. Because I was considering all groups playing all the games. But in any case, a lot of games will be played, and you have to somehow make something good of this game. Whether that's learning that, great, maybe we shouldn't be to a gas station early on, because we know Dynamo likes to check this. You have to take something positive. You have to take something positive out of it. And I'm sure that Friendly Fire, with all the experience, years and years of PUBG experience that there is in this team, they will do just that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been getting in a lot of situations where they have been getting in fights, and they're doing well for themselves. But yes, as you said, the ability for Dynamo there to come in as both teams trying to assist their duos, it was just very impressive coming out from the boys from Korea.
See, Day Trade again, as we said before, all the previous games have been very action-packed right from the get-go this time around. Able to sit tight, able to wait this one out as they're up close to their regional comrades in Expendables. Only Delvin here. Tanwu is looking over towards the east as well, but both 777 and Dogtooth are down towards the granny on the western side. Circle, hard shifts towards the northeast, and not only is it far from many teams, but we're also excluding a hell of a lot of terrain as we are shifting out of water 2 circles from now. So everyone is going to be steaming straight towards the southwest side of those Stolper Mountains.
Yes, and all these rotations you imagine are going to get very close to each other. I wouldn't be surprised losing quite a few in these car battles as we see a lot of these teams shifting from west to east. And Stolper is a really fun area to fight, but not necessarily when it's centered up on that Alamo Road, just in the center where we see D plus Kia.
So little space to maneuver, so little space to obtain for all these teams that are going to be coming in late. So curious to see how some of the late arrivers are going to play on this. You see, that is a crate plane, but everyone is instantly looking up. It's a plane. Other players, this time around, not quite the case. Twisted Minds, one of the early ones on approach here. Where do they set up shop?
They do potentially have this, this shack ridge here that they might be able to split, but again, so many teams rotating right next to each other, and it's going to be Dynamo and Twisted just running into a T-bone situation, but Spyro and Lou will flush out Loki.
Again, when half the server is trying to make the exact same play, you are bound to have teams run into one another. Damage is done, so trying to catch it off at the back of it. Of course, they did take a lot of casualties in taken out. Friendly Fire earlier, so just one player left alive. Good thing for Soul is that unless if Twisted Minds goes aggressive on this, he should be right, but look at the smokes. They want that position. And maybe not that, but they don't want to have him there. They don't want to have to worry about it. That Molly, as the door opens, should spread inside. Nope, it doesn't.
And he's going to slip out smart from Soul, but now is the time for Twisted to do this, because that ridge, although it's good cover, it's not great cover this early, and they are going to get shredded from teams, especially the ones that are up on the hill there in near Stolber.
Soul is playing a game of dodge and weave, and so far he's yet to take damage in doing so. So impressive effort. And Twisted Minds, I mean, their play styles, regardless of whether they have a compound art in the open like this, they don't want to have nearby neighbors. They don't like roommates at all. You'll see it whenever they get pulled up on, or you're not even pushed properly, but in the compound, if a team sits in a ridge line outside the compound, Batools would sprint out in the open and nade them on arrival, force them to go elsewhere. They just don't like having opponents nearby. I'm sure closing that door is going to be the change here in whether or not Soul
I'm
is
sorry to laugh in the middle of your point, because you're absolutely right, but the
good.
fact that he closed it just...
You know what? I mean, that's less space for an ace to get inside that shack, so... Kudos to you, Soul.
And we do see Perfectus again, just they want to, as you said, get rid of Soul that way. Even if they want to stay here or not, they just don't have to deal with the threat of him backstabbing them.
And the thing is, Twisted Minds do this instantly, especially in the early game, because they know we can do this now while there's still space.
Right.
1.5 circle from now, there's going to be too many teams with ankles on us in the other shacks. We won't be able to even attempt this play. So do it now. Oh my god, Perfect Fix. You're like, your nade's well done, I see.
A little bit over medium there as the nade still coming in. Soul somehow still survives, and you can tell the desperation of Twisted just wanting to get rid of him, as you said, as early as possible before that approach it's not very feasible, as all the teams around them starting to take fires. Genji now have set up here just to the east of Severity.
Genji slow on approach, coming in from the northwest side. Again, the Genji that we've come to know over many years of PO spearheading the roster. And seems like DG should be able to get picked up. Easy peasy for them. Still fully reset. This next circle can still include water, so there's a chance of a hard yoink down south. Not expecting to see it happen.
Why would you say
but it does go to some extent. It's not that bad. The only thing is we all know pretty much exactly where this next one will take us. And if you're Expendables right now, you get back inside that compound.
Sitting in no lead is going to be an amazing position for them, as that circle, as you said, is going to have to shift north. So this actually does put some pressure here on the teams. As we see Sonics, this is actually one of their favorite rotations. When the circle is north, they're always on this road. They always love to come from the north side of Stalber, but they now have to potentially contest here with Petrichor, but they're also going to hear this rotation and hear them leave, so they're just going to creep up right behind as we see Twisted Minds still in that position, and Soul has survived somehow.
Not sure exactly where DD team are planning on going. On the flip side of that, you see Question Mark trying to make their way down inside the safety of these trenches here. Issue is there's so many teams with eyes on this exact position, making it so damn difficult to get into this spot. Perfectix full pull up alongside Patulins. They want to deal with Question Mark. They want this area for themselves, but they too are being torn by Daytrade. Nice nade though, locked on over. The second one should find the flush onto Dante. Good throws coming through from Patulins.
And again, you see how many teams around this, Toby, have sidelines onto this fight. It's just so difficult for them to fight in a straight-up 4-on-4. At this point, fortunately, for Twisted Minds, they do have the man advantage, but yeah, this is just rough.
For the casual viewer, you go, why are people so obsessed with this spot? It's on the edge. There's nothing to fight for here. Well, maybe you don't know that this next circle is going to shift away from water. It's going to go north, and this should, if not be in, then on the edge. And there are only so many spots available in this area of the map. Now, for anyone who's ever played Arena or TDM in this game, they will be well-versed in practicing in this area of the map. Let's see who's going to come up victorious. Summer, the IGL Petrichor down early as Sonics continue to push on forward. And they're split very wide here, Petrichor.
I was about to say the split here is pretty disgusting, as Petrichor aren't really going to be able to support Chewy at this point. Is the rest of Sonics here starting to push on Stalber. I thought for sure maybe they would have consolidated on the south, but they did not, which means that it's just going to be up to Chewy to kind of hold this line, as Petrichor, they're not moving up. They're actually content with just letting this happen.
I mean, he's a very, very, very good player, Chewy, and if they don't check the angle, that's one, maybe two down, and then with the peek over from Mike's left, and Milt, they won't expect it at all. Doesn't peek the first one, as we swing over to another fight between Genji and D plus Kia. EJ first one to fall. He has been knocked once before already, so they have to commit to that one early if they want to get him seated. Nice peek out from inside the building as it takes down Taemin. That's two down from Genji. EJ knocked in now, as PO is still arriving. DG98 trying to get over and help him. This is the Genji I was hoping not to see. A approach on a building that you're 99% sure is going to have players in it. You don't come one by one by one by one. So a little mistimed on that one, but nice defense put up here by D+, who once again show that we're really good at taking fights, but we don't have to take them.
As long as we have
as long as we're defense,
somewhere to hold, yes, we'll be just fine. But look at this circle shift. Again, we knew it was going to go very far north as this fight between D+ Kia and the last member here of Genji is going on, but DG's actually going to hold his PO actually up. They've actually recovered very well.
Able to get all but one up, as Taemin was flushed just before, but the issue is now there are still players in and around that might get angles on them, so they have to be swift with this. They have to clear it quickly. We'll see now if this hold is one hold too much for D+ Kia to hold, as the nade does come through. PO take it down, just two left alive.
I would not want to try to take a compound here from D+ Kia, as again, they are just proving that they are absolute titans when it comes to holding a position down, and really it's just the last couple members here of Genji. I believe it's just DG now. Yeah, they want to get rid, and EJ on the other side of this. The smokes are trying to get out, but no, Zenith will find the knock, and Genji is eliminated. Beautiful hold from D+ Kia.
Really great read of the situation. They go on defense mode. They go full turtle and say, you just sit here, you hold your corner. We're in a small building, let's just defend it together. When they realize that, wait, Genji are wounded now. Genji on the run. They come out of the house, they jump out of their shells, and they just punish. Great setup and execution by D+, who got pushed in a situation where, I mean, it was kind of off, it was kind of weird. Fault on Genji, but very smart response by D+ Kia.
So you remember what, you remember Chewy?
Yeah.
Sonics are dead.
Yeah. I mean, he gave info to the entire team on where they were coming from, so you'd have to imagine that that's must have fit or played some sort of role in it. We'll check in with
Kia.
I mean, they're trying to drive uphill in the US with two wheels, so I don't fault the You're limited in your options on that approach as the circle does swing up towards the mountains once more. Minuta, Zenith, you've played well this game to defend, but now you're the ones that attack, and I'm worried that with the sprays coming through, there is limited to nothing you can do against it. Forest Gaming out, that's elsewhere on the map, as Zenith now the lone player from D+ Kia tries to sneak his way up to E Arena.
And E Arena's Larix has just been honestly the best player for me on that team so far. He's been doing so much work, and they're going to hear that pull up, and
yeah, he
should know that Zenith is going to be on the other side of that.
The thing is, they don't know who pulled up, and they don't know how many players were in the car. So respect to Larix for not taking anything for granted. And at least now, well, yeah, there's one down here. Guys, can you peek this angle, please? Oh, never mind. We're getting hit from the entirety of Expendables, and there comes the kill over the top. KM99 able to get the vibe on up as D+ are taken out in 10th.
And now I will also say for Twisted, they're actually going to be able to rotate up here to the northwest, and they have quite a bit of room to start working with here onto the position there of DD Team as well. So
only issue is they're down to 2. And while you can never count them out, it's not easy to go in that aggressive flank mode when you're only 2, because you have snakes to worry about. And while when you're 4, you can kind of dedicate 1 to clear the close angles and then have the other one sweep around. You really can't set that up when you're just 2 guys. So do you want to be the one pushing or the one defending? There's limited options.
The one caveat, though, is the team that they would be pushing into on that edge is also a 2-man in DD Team.
Yeah. So look at Expendables here. We talked about the priority of keeping the compound safe. They have realized we've cleared the entire south-southwest. Now let's backfill. Now let's sweep this entire southwest side. Again, a proactiveness that I haven't seen out of this team to the same extent. And especially, one thing is that they can pull it off in APAC, but daring to do so on their second day at a global.
And finding success.
Coming out with this level of comfort, coming out with this level of just courage to try and pull off a play like this while it's backed off now and they're going the other way, let alone the fact that they try, tells me that they're much more confident than what we've seen the likes of the region be in the past.
As you said, Daytray opened the door for that region, and now it's really been the Expendables. Cerberus now really starting to step up and be a force to reckon with here in the international event. We now see Daytrade. We're just speaking about them. 2 members, Nock Puchus and Belmoth, the last 2 trying to hold this off from Petrichor.
And the boys in yellow, Na'Vi wrapping over the top, hearing the commotion, of course, wanting to see if they can claim the high ground. Perfect. Nate lopped on over from Mamu as well. DD Team, it wasn't a great start to the game for them, but they have found a couple of kills and have a somewhat decent position. As I say that, no, it's outside the circle on the west side, so I'm lying. I was confusing them with another team.
Yeah, but Na'Vi, as you pointed out, just so good at reading the circle and punishing mistakes. Ugo, you said that, and he is absolutely one of the best. As again, Duck Juice and the Expendables just cleaning up the teams on the edge here.
The way that Expendables are maneuvering on the southwest side, kind of prioritizing the compound, but moving in and around them with it all the time, making sure to have full control of the 2-2 splits. This is phenomenal PUBG we're watching. We could have an entire showcase built around just the rotations that the Expendables have been doing over the last minute and a half.
Well, even the way that they, as you said, have anchors into this 2-2 split, just beautifully holding out Tai Lu, and they're able to recover all of these knocks as well.
You reset straight into a 3-1 with Delvin on the side, now holding up longs on the other side. Expendables are playing some absolutely phenomenal PUBG right now. To anyone out there trying to learn how to, well, when you have a compound, you could just chill. You could also do exactly what Expendables did here and find yourself a couple of kills that way.
Yeah, and they're spreading out, as you said, taking the fight to multiple teams. I wanted to see E Arena get a little more aggressive on this west side, but they actually can't because LG has been holding them down for so long, and LG's rotation in the south was wonderful.
Yeah, managing to maneuver on in. It hasn't been a high-impact game for them so far. Only 1 kill, but coming in fresh. Limited to no casualties on their side. Helmets, vests should be fresh. Utility should be there. First aids too. They're ready for up-close endgame, or as up-close as these endgames get, up on the Stalpa Mountains with all full still alive.
Expendables, though, they do have Delwyn here on the south to try to anchor. The circle is about to post, but LG now have an opportunity to third-party quite a lot of the fights here as we now see this rotation happening, and it's gifted actually to the Expendables.
I feel like it's kind of well-deserved because none of this land was for free. They've gone out and claimed it. Issue is, regardless of whether they have more circle space, fighting uphill here is very, very difficult, especially when you still have a high ground team in full control. So considering how many different things we've already seen Expendables do, I'm actually curious to see how they're planning to play this circle, because they have the space right now, but how are they going to take advantage of it?
Also, a lot of that is going to factor into how this fight between Na'Vi and Daytrade happens, as well as what Na'Vi does afterwards if they're actually going to pour onto LG on that high ground.
Uber reload, please.
10 bullets, that's enough.
Thank you, he reloaded, that's the camera cutaway. Just when you see a guy standing around for like 10 seconds, like you might as well.
I get super nervous when I see someone with an AR with like 12 bullets. Like,
exactly. I'm ready to spray 3 people. No, reload. Yeah, but he did, so we're all good. In the meantime, now, as you can see here, Expendables clearly with the way they're set up here, not looking to aggress at all. Definitely not, but looking to fend off pushes in that direction. Wide 2-2 split. They know for a fact there's no one in between them with how they've been maneuvering back and forth. They're just sat here saying, we are making sure right now that no one gets to flank us.
But it's also such a stark difference. You see another team from the same region. Again, we talked about it briefly, E-Arena. They did have the ability to somewhat spread out of that Wizard Tower, but because they were just getting shot at LG, they were just so hesitant to do anything. And honestly, they had kills to get for themselves, but it's just a complete difference in mentality and playstyle there. And as I say that, Daytrade now starting to make their push up towards Na'Vi. This is going to be very difficult for a duo.
I mean, we heard from Expendables earlier as well how their communication have gotten better. They've improved on various fronts. To be able to go from a compound hole to a 2-2 split to a 3-1 split, back to a 2-2 split, to then a 3-1 split with one holding the flank on the side, to now a wide 2-2 split, to communicate all of this over the span of, 7 minutes in a game where they're fighting constantly. You can only do this if you have absolutely top-tier communication and everyone is on the exact same page.
Yes.
Sure, they don't have the damage or the kills here, but the way that they've been maneuvering around this map so far and always known exactly where they have each other, I'll say, I mean, half the teams, even in this tournament, can't pull off that to the same extent.
And the confidence that this is building for that team is going to be astronomical as they're able to do this to some of the best teams in the world. And so the fact that they've been able to transition from 1-3s and 2-2s is, again, something we don't see from a lot of the other teams at all.
They just seem like they always know where they have each other, which is huge, especially when you get into those situations where a fight get dicey. It's a coin flip. Who comes out victorious? Agreed. The team that knows exactly where the backup player is to help him out will get the kill. It's Hanvo. He's been on one today, and he ain't done just yet. Finds Puju's flush confirmed as well. Belmoth on the off angle. I like that Na'Vi never pushed down either. They said, it's Daytrade to move. They have to go one way or another. And Belmoth says, you know what, guys? Fair enough. You won. We tried. Didn't work. I would imagine that he concedes this one. Probably first date as best as he can, but even that's not going to work.
GG, boys. We gave it
valiant effort. Oh, no, he gets one through, but that's
he actually will be able to prone here for a moment. Maybe? No.
Top 4 and dead. Oh,
he has a little rock.
There is. I hope he doesn't have a water bottle in that backpack, because that's going to be water pouring all over the place now.
Belmont's just trying to survive. And not as Na'Vi, though, actually, look at this. LG hears these shots now. They are transitioning, but I love this from Mel and Alia. Absolutely ready. They also know that there's going to be a team on this east side as they are going to start engaging here towards LG.
Very, very rarely do you get a chance to properly backstab Na'Vi. They were ready for it this time around too, as Alia takes out Flood, and that's actually kind of troublesome, because Flood was the connecting player between the duo of Rello and Snakers and Kickstart down on the southern side. Kickstart played flank. He's still in the compound, but come on, Uber, just get him. You're playing with your food at this point. He knows where he is.
He wants this so bad.
But with Flood down, as we can see now in the minimap as this is taking place, they have to back off. Yes. Flood was the guy looking over the hill, kind of connecting the dots or the islands of Kickstart and Snakers and Rello on the other side. So really, really good read from LG saying, we had a perfect setup, but Na'Vi were ready. They punished Flood. Now we got to back
look
off
what
and
it's
play
caused LG to do now. They know they have to go for...
Oh,
okay. Well, it was a little sad about that. But yeah, look what it's caused LG to do. They know they now have to wrap down to the south. Yeah. The problem for them, though, is the fact that TE, again, is already set up. They're back to a 2-2 split. Now Duck Shoes is actually taking center position with Delwyn still holding that bottom edge flank.
I mean, they're essentially sitting on the shorelines down here, Expendables, not wanting to go off of them. They know that everything south of them is just open waters. And here we have Delvin holding off. Fights one, fights oh my God! Tanmu fights the third! LG thought they had a good angle of approach, but Expendables had been sitting here waiting for this exact moment. Perfect angle from all the way across the circle. Tanvu way over by 777. Instantly gets the read from Delvin. I need help over the top. Open angle, fights all three. Huge play from Expendables.
And I was wondering, and we were wondering actually, if the Expendables could keep this up coming into the second day. And not only have they keep this up, but they have elevated their play to levels that we haven't seen from this region, I think, pretty much ever. They just look so damn dominant, as now they're going to take the fight to Na'Vi in this very awkward multitude of angles.
Regardless of amount of kills, this is one of the best played out APAC games I've ever
100%.
seen. Like the way they go about this is just everything's like every single movement seems so calculated.
There's no wasted movements at all. It seems like, as you said, everything is calculated, and they're just so ready for everything in every team. Even playing from the low ground there, as we saw LG coming down that hill, that angle with Delwyn, the angles in the back with Duck Juice, just incredible.
I just hope, and it's going to sound weird because the better you're playing, obviously, the more hype and the more happy you're going to be, and therefore you should be playing better. But we've seen the Expendables that also just are dogs off leash. That just go super aggro, like, woohoo, now they're feeling it, and they just start running into people's heads. They have to, even with the laps that they probably have on their faces with how well they're playing right now, they have to be able to contain themselves too. They have to be able to stay focused and not just let it run wild.
There's something to be said for finishing strong, because at this point, I think it's all but guaranteed that they're probably going to be going through.
Oh, they're 75. They're easily through.
Even if they have some bad games, even if they have some travesty games, they're going to be fine. But
we're talking 50-some points for lower.
Finishing strong, though, is what's very important here, because that is also going to give them confidence against not just being dogs let off the leash, just mindlessly going forward and being aggressive, which, again, they're not doing. They're playing incredibly, but yes, I would love to see them continue this consistency.
Can they bring it home, or do we actually see the 5-time second place Na'Vi get themselves their first win? Na'Vi a little hesitant, of course, knowing that, well, LG tried to get off the hill and were instantly melted. You could see that they were setting up to try and third party, but there was nothing to third party because LG were killed before the first bullet was fired. So we'll see what they can pull off as they're now essentially making their way to the exact same spot where LG died just before.
And yeah, that was disgusting, the speed at which they were able to dispatch LG. As we see just that lone member of E-Arena and Larix holding down on that Wizard Tower. But just Navi's patience really is their greatest weapon.
I would like to see the win percentage thing that we get sometimes of what is the chance of Larix winning this game.
I'd say it's about a solid, like, 3%.
Oh, well, we also gonna say it can't be like the 0.00 because there is this.
Like
the thing is,
the
thing is, the players know. Obviously, don't see these stats that we have on top of the screen, but they know there's 9 alive. They can do the math. There's gotta be at least 2 teams up and running. And now Example goes full speed forward. Uber, oh, I like this play from Expendables once more. They knew Uber was gonna be the guy up above to hold the angle. They don't shoot at the guy immediately. They shoot at the guy set up top. So Expendables do though allow in both Melman and one more, but 777 is hit instantly. Finds one with the P90.
The P90 absolutely disgusting up close, and 777 has been a little quiet this game, but he will do so much damage as he finds a second, and that is it. He'll clean up Na'Vi by himself.
They are absolutely on one. Lyric solo player left alive. Just give it to them at this point. Expendables, one of the best played out games I have had to cast in all my career of PUBG Esports. What a phenomenal way to bring this one home.
That may have been one of the... That's the closest perfect game I've seen any team play, especially when we talk about the region in which we were on Stalber Hill.
If they ever release a book of how to PUBG, if there is a sector of it of how to play from no lean when circles go your way, just use this game. Just use this game. They were in control from start to finish. What a well-deserved win. And it seemed so effortless too. They knew exactly what to do. They probably didn't even break a sweat by the end of it.
No, they didn't raise that flag high.